Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titans Arms. Head to the episode description and check out Titans Arms today. Dude, Herb Thompson, welcome, man. How you doing?
Awesome to be here, Denny. Let's get it rocking.
Hell yeah, man. Dude, you've done a lot for us in the veteran community. Your book, you've been on the show before and we highlighted your journey and talked about your book. It was one of the first books that I found on my journey in the transition that outlined everything and gave us a true, like a PDSS, a pathway to success. And as soon as I realized, like, holy shit, like this is filled with like a step-by-step of what to do, what to avoid, I just started buying it and handing it out. Whether it was a Green Beret or one of our support guys, like it spoke to everybody. But today I want to talk about you and your chapter. You've done so much for us, guiding us through the process. I want to reflect and talk about you and your journey, how you're navigating life now. You recently married, you're doing great things. So today, my man, we're diving into your second chapter.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting then because that's probably the even more wild and crazy stuff, right? Yeah, no, happy married Corey. We'd actually been engaged for like 2.5 years.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
And we'd been living together. We had started a business. I know we'll get into that. So it was time for us both. And truthfully, the only reason why we probably took so long to get married is like neither of us wanted to plan a wedding and put the efforts in, like, you know what I mean, to get the piece of paper that says, hey, you're official now. So yeah, no, we did that. We got married. We were able to have a celebration our style with some of our close friends about a month ago. Life's going good, but there's definitely been some potholes in the road along the way.
Everybody thinks that, jumping into a marriage is like we grew up, I think our GWAT culture kind of jumped into getting in relationships because deployments were so like rapid and just always back to back to back. I know I certainly jumped into my first marriage, like right before we deployed. And we kind of like continue that culture of just like meeting up and figuring out and just thinking, okay, maybe this will work. We will jump into a marriage. But I think there's something to be said about meeting somebody and taking your time, man. And that's something that it certainly was on your social media profiles. You guys were very open in sharing your journey. Like, take us through like what it was like finally getting to this point in your life and realizing like, okay, I don't want to rush this.
Geez, yeah. I mean, I think two things. I don't come from an ivory tower, a place of like I'm holier than thou. If there's a mistake that's been made, I've probably done it twice. Right. Especially with like past relationships. I'll be honest, like I've been married 3 times, right? And it's my what most people classify as my high school sweetheart. We got married, like I got married at 18, a month after I turned 18, right? Because
Damn.
I'm in the army. I just graduated basic training. I was in an advanced individual training. I was gonna go to my first assignment in a few weeks. And I was like, oh, we need to get married. I wouldn't change it in the world for the world because I got my 2 boys out of it, right? Where I was at the age of 17 and where I was at the age of 30 is just a much different person, right? And it didn't work out. And I know oftentimes we'll joke like army, especially special operations, like, oh, it separated marriage. It kept mine together. It kept me gone so long that I couldn't get a divorce back home. And finally, I actually sat out a deployment and I was forward overseas and they want me to flip to another. I'd been there like a month. They want me to flip to where my team was going. And I was like, time out. I need to go back home so I can get a divorce.
Mm.
And they're like, yeah, but we need you on the mat. I was like, no, you're not understanding me. I need to be home so I can file the paperwork and sign it and do all that. I can't do that from overseas. So I did that. And then I, you know, did what most guys or many guys do, went wild and crazy. And then I went to the polar opposite and just got into a very bad relationship. And then, hey, I'm going to get married because I'm going to make this. I can fix anything. I'm a Green Beret. God, I can fix anything. And then once I was in it, it's like, well, we got to get married. And then like, okay, we're married. And like, well, I can do this. I'm not going to be twice divorced. Like, that's my failure. I'm going to be a failure for doing that. And I kept working at actually the whole time I was transitioning out, retiring, I was going through that and my diving into like what was going to be my next job and what was life after the military become my safe space because home was chaos. And maybe part of that I created, right? Because I got so comfortable in chaos that I was like, oh, I will create the chaos. So now I feel comfy.
Yeah.
That comes to an end, and like you and I have talked, then I met Corey,
Yeah.
right? And it was just different. And probably one of the first times where I realized it was different was at some point we had a little disagreement, and she was like, "Hey, I'm your teammate."
Mm.
And I was like, "Shit," like, because I had never truthfully thought of my spouse, in the middle,
Yeah.
like, it isn't like, "Hey, I want to go to special forces. How do you feel about this, honey?" Or like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you know what? There's a deployment to Afghanistan. Would you like me not to go?" There was no discussion, right? It was just, I'm doing what I want to do for my career. And I didn't have a teammate. And some of that by my choice, right? And then with her going, "Hey, I'm your teammate," I was like, "Oh." So she's been instrumental in my development, right? Just as a human being and my growth, life after the military, of just growing up, if you will, and like figuring out who I am. And really part of that is putting it out there on social media, because we realized, and especially her, she's like, "Hey, you're helping people." And we get the messages and stuff. And I was like, "Okay, well, yeah, let's do a little more and put a little more out there." And especially like everything in the military, I feel like, and quite frankly, corporate America, like it's the person, it's Herb, it's Denny. There's no that family. We talk about it as military leaders, but like it's that, and everything's centered around that. And there's no like, "Oh, we're a couple. And hey, we do stuff together. And it's cool to be a couple." So we've been very intentional to show that, having learned from our mistakes in the past.
Yeah. It's problematic the way we settle into relationships in modern age. Like we were talking a little bit earlier before we started, like, it is now a big thing of meeting your significant other online through an app, and before you even really get to understand the person and really dive deep into who you're building something with, like you've put an entire precedent on the physical connection and all that. And like, look, I'm not pointing any fingers because I was guilty of it as well. But there's something to be said about approaching a relationship from a very mature and focused point of view, like understanding that like dating is fun and great, but you're building a future with somebody. You're finding the right teammate. You got to go through a selection process.
It's just swipe right, right?
Yeah.
Swipe right, swipe right. Like, okay, oh, I got a match. No, I mean, that's what's cool about Corey and I's relationship is we got to know even though we met through social media, which is kind of funny, and through some work stuff. She got to know me for and I got to know who she was for who she was, right? And she had very minimal social media. I was like, "Are you a Russian spy? Like, I can't find you anywhere." But what was cool is like she knew my favorite like sub shop to get a sandwich from back home. She knew all this stuff about me. At the time, I, something happened. I did a post or something, and it was about my book, and I was like, "Oh, I won an award," and she thought it was a joke. And I was like, "Hey," and then finally she's like, "Oh, this is real. Like people are really commenting." And she thought it was just something I had like photoshopped or something. And then she's like, "Hey, you wrote a book?" And I was like, "Yeah, I sent a picture of me in front of the White House holding the book." And she's like, "What picture with the White House?" It's one of her favorite pictures of me, by the way. But she didn't realize I was holding a book, and she didn't realize the White House was right here. She was just like focused on me, which is awesome. But I was like, "Yeah, hey," because she'd like, I was like, "I did some stuff in the army. I've wrote a few things." And that's when she realized, she's like, "Wait, you're a Green Beret?" And I was like, "Yeah," but we had already been talking for months at this point. So we got to know each other just as people. Even through this whole social media internet age, I was up here in the DC area. She was down in North Carolina. So we had that spread, but we really got to know each other. And I think I'm grateful that it happened for us.
Yeah. Now it's the thing that I love about watching your journey is the continued growth. Like we we don't have to get out and accept that like, okay, this is the my military career was the pinnacle of my achievement as a human being. I'm just going to sit stagnant and just let time pass me by.
That is right. And for me, I had two goals. Like I had two goals in life. Like I wanted to be a drill sergeant. I wanted to be a Green Beret. It actually started, I wanted to be a Green Beret. And then I added a few years, probably in my teens, I had to be a drill sergeant. I'm like, great. Most people be like, awesome, you accomplished your goals in life, right? And first world problems, let's be real. Like, awesome. Now what? And that was really what was leaving the military, and partially still on that journey, over 6 years after retiring, like still on that journey of like, what's my goal? I know what they are now, but like, what's going to motivate me? How do I get that sense of I'm doing something and I feel good when I look in the
Yeah. Let's dive into that, man. Like, what was coming out of the military is a struggle, even if you write a book. How'd you go about setting those next goals and that next phase of your life? Like, what'd you start focusing in on?
trial and error. I mean, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And about, you know, 5 days into doing what I thought I wanted to do, I was like, this isn't going to be it.
Yeah.
It's different, right? I had to learn a whole new environment in corporate America. And then quite frankly, realize like, oh, there's other ways. And I think like many, especially veterans, but special operators, there's that entrepreneurial spirit
Yeah.
in like just the traits that go with being an operator go along, a long way with being having your own business. And that's where I knew I kind of wanted to go to. And that's where we're going with Liberty Speaks. And it's, we launched it earlier this year, and it's now it's my purpose. It's my
Yeah.
passion. I'm all about it. And, we just have two rules. We don't want to work with a-holes, and we don't want to be homeless. And then everything else is going to be okay.
That's a modified version of the Honor Foundation's top five. Yeah, dude. But one of the things I have to imagine, like, this is not as simple as, hey, I want to start, my own small business, my own mom and pop bakery. I got to imagine this comes with a lot of fear. How do you approach tackling that fear? That's something that a lot of people always reach out and ask. Like, I want to do something big. I want to move out from having to do this 9 to 5. I want to lean into X, Y, and Z. But Denny, like, how do I move away from this fear? Like, and I tell people every single time I get that message, like, you have to go in the unknown, into the unknown. What is your message when it comes to going into something big and bold like this?
Yeah. You could be fearful of everything, right? Like, hey, a fear of failure, a fear of like, I'm not going to make it to be a Green Beret. Same exact thoughts, right? Just a different process. I would say that's a little easier defined, more well defined, because go to selection, go to the Q course. You can look up what you have to do.
Yep.
As you know, and business, there's no one way. There's 8,000 ways to do this, and there's a million ways to do it wrong. But I'm just being honest. I think having the military retirement stuff gives me a little cushion, right?
Yeah.
It allows for some risk where today I'm not worried what our family's going to eat tonight. Like, I'm like, okay, we're going to eat, right? Like, we ordered pizza last night out. Once in a while we do that. Like, we're going to be okay. I'm just being honest. That allows to assume some risk, but then believing in yourself, right? The same, and this is where I go back to the operators and then going into business, that same belief in self that I can make this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass selection. I'm going to make it through the Q course or make it through buds or make it through ranger school, whatever, pilot school, whatever you want to do, flight training. I'm going to do that. I believe in myself enough. And I think that's where most people fall short. Just the average human don't have enough belief in their self to take that step into the what is uncomfortable, and just having that self belief. And some of it sometimes is like, wow, maybe I was a little too big for my britches, right? But also understand that we're going to learn every day. We're going to grow. And quite frankly, we tell people that, like, hey, can we learn from you? Hey, can we? Same thing that helped. When I got to a team, I didn't go, I know everything. I'm on a team. Hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? Why do you have that weapon system? Why is your dump pouch there? Like, why do you have your bags here? Like, hey, how much should I pack? How should I pack? The same thing there. It's just a different environment, but we're doing the same thing.
Yeah. It's no different. And I think people forget that there's something to be said about approaching life, no matter what phase you are, with a beginner's mind. Like, look at what you're doing and stop thinking that you have to be a subject matter expert at the very beginning. Like, you can learn and start moving forward. It's just taking that first step, man. And
It
so many
is.
people.
I think actually the more difficult part for us is we're a couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, hey, we're done for the day. There's no like done for the day, right? There's
Yeah.
no like, and like I'm sleeping with my boss and she's sleeping with her boss. You know what I mean? It's like that, which is great at times, but other times it's like, I think she quit yesterday or 2 days ago. You know, she's like, "I'm quitting. I can't work with you anymore." Like, this happens every few weeks because, like, we'll get maybe a disagreement, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, we gotta work through this, and sometimes the new me comes out, I'm like, "Okay, let's work through it," and sometimes the old me comes out, is like, "This is dumb. Why are we even having this conversation?" Like, and I'm like, "Oh, man, that was why did I say that?" Like, but, you know, that's truthfully makes us special, but
Yeah.
adds an extra dynamic because it is us, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is in many ways makes it much more special, but does add a few kind of hiccups or possible hurdles along the
Yeah.
way.
No, dude, that you hit something that I want to just pause and just dive into for a little bit. I wanted to believe that the work life balance would be a lot easier to define in this endeavor. And I tell you, the one thing I struggle with the most now more than ever is figuring out when to clock out, because there's no definitive person above you saying like, "Hey man, like take a chill pill." There's always somebody. It feels like a race. It feels like you're constantly having to set a higher pace and you're going to burn out. I didn't want to believe I was going to burn out, but let me tell you, you will burn out.
It's like going to the gym, you don't see instant results either, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, "Oh, if I take a day off, like, oh my god, that's gonna." Yeah, we're actually talking with a business we're gonna be speaking at. We're actually working with them, like, over the next year, and we sat down with them yesterday and talked with them, about that, right? About burnout, and it's a couple, and they own the business, and I was like, "Hey, you just got back from vacation. Did you check your email? Did you check on work?" And one of them was like, "Well, it got till Wednesday and I checked out. I had to do something, but only I can do it. And then I didn't pay attention to everything else." And the other one's like, "Oh, I did. I checked some stuff." And I was like, that to me is like the true sense that you feel good is like when you don't feel the need to do it. And sometimes you got to build up to that to where like, but at some point you have to be like, okay, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take some time off. And we're believers in this from early on, right? So we just talking about the wedding. We went on our honeymoon to this most amazing place in Jamaica. And like the only time I touched my phone was to take pictures. Right. I didn't get on the internet. I didn't. And then we also just took a little family vacation for a couple days, you know, for Monday to Friday. And that we didn't really do much there either.
Yeah.
Right. Wasn't check stuff. It was just like be in the moment
Mm,
with the family. And when we're back here working, now it's let's balance it. Like, okay, yeah, someone wants to go play disc golf. Like, okay, let's put that in here. And when I'm doing that disc golf, I'm not worried about work. But when we get back, hey, just like right now, hey buddy, I'm going in here to do a podcast. Like, see ya. You know,
yeah.
he's teenager, like just getting up, like, what? Good morning, Dad. And I'm like, hey, I'll see you in like an hour or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I've found it extremely difficult juggling more and more and more because the mindset is I want to create something big and impactful and huge. And you have this pathway that you're constantly reevaluating it, because if you're doing something like starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, oftentimes there's no path ahead of you. You're creating and building this path as you're going. So you can't, you know what you want the end goal to be, but the road there is built on a daily basis. And I feel like the moment you take a day off, it's like, fuck, okay, I missed this, I missed that. And it's like, fuck, dude, like having to continue, like there's no day offs. There really,
No, there isn't unless you make sure there is, right? Like we're talking, so you don't hit burnout. And I think it's a real fear too, especially when you're like, I need to do this or money's not coming in. And maybe not money's coming in today, but
yeah,
like for a lot of what we're doing, and we know like what the work we're doing now is setting us up for 2026.
okay,
So like it's not instant. It's like I said, hey, we just ordered pizza last night. We're gonna eat today,
yeah,
but like, how do we have pizza next July?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's or maybe like, how do we have pizza on the beach next July? Let's upgrade a little bit. So a lot of the work we're doing. But yeah, it is that it's just here, right though, or
yeah.
here of like, hey, it's okay to take some time off and just look in the mirror and go, I know I'm doing everything I can. And in our case, we believe in each other as teammates and like we're building it and it's slow, but we know what's at the end of the rainbow.
But I think slow for something like this is the right approach. I recently failed super fast and super hard because I tried building something. It was a very good concept, very, very much needed product. But the timeline, it was a rush and a sprint to try to get it into, the market. And I thought, oh dude, like this is a no-brainer. This is gonna be so easy and so simple. Then you picked out everything and then started looking for sponsorship, started looking for key guest speakers and
Yeah.
everything. And before you know it, it was like we hit our deadline for bringing in the last chunk of our money. And we're like, fuck, dude, like we didn't give ourselves enough time. Like you get so used to on a team being able to make shit happen last minute. JSET coming down the road. Oh fuck, guys,
Yeah.
got 3
Yeah.
months. We got to make this JSET to Guatemala happen. And you think that like, oh, surely me and 2 other people can make this happen. Let me tell you, folks, putting together a giant convention is not going to happen within 3 months. Not if you're if you're a small time individual like myself. That was a big learning curve. That was something that I realized like, oh fuck, like you can't execute everything on a short timeline. Like so I think like having the ability to project out and build it slowly is way more realistic.
And I think just that honesty with yourself and, whoever the key players are, in my case, it's myself and Corey, like just being honest. Like we were having that talk about an event and I about crashed the car yesterday because she's like, oh yeah, I think we could do it in December. And I was like, dude, it's August. And she was
Yeah.
talking about December of next year.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that works. December of next year, like we got plenty of runway, but just being honest with each other. I think that's the best part of what we're doing with our business. And one of the challenging parts is like being honest with each other of what our intents are and where our visions are. And usually they're pretty in line, but sometimes like I'm thinking go left and she's thinking go right. And we have to figure out where
Yeah.
we're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that's one of the greatest assets to having a team, like having somebody to bounce ideas off of, have somebody to build. Like, it's what made us successful on an ODA. Even though we hated
Yeah.
wargaming, hated
Yeah.
friggin' sitting down and actually having to go through the planning guidance, like it makes sense. Like that's if you think you can do everything ad hoc, eventually it's gonna bite you in the ass.
Yeah. It'll bite you. And that's a lot of what we're doing now is grinding, putting in the processes that we'll continue to use and quite frankly reviewing and go, hey, is this working or not working? What do we need to improve? And looking, going, okay, we need to do this better. Okay, how can we do it better? Let's just try some. Right. At the end of the day, very big on not waiting around, but actually action, right? Learning from action and trying something and okay, it didn't work. Let's try something else. And we're just excited with what we're doing with Liberty Speaks. Just, I mean, I look at it as 2 ways. There's 2 things I know I was missing from my time on ODA, right? It was that feeling when you're coming off the X.
Yeah.
Just like you did it, man. You hit it out of the park, saved the world, right? Whatever. And you're like, man, that's a good, you can't buy, I get goosebumps, right? You
Yeah.
can't buy that.
No. All your boys on the back of that CH-47 taking off after exfil and just zooming out of the objective. It doesn't even matter if it was a dry hole or fucking nothing happened. It feels like I don't know what it's like to win the Super Bowl. I don't know what it's like to play professional sports, but I tell you, that is one of the greatest feelings. Everybody
That's
made it
what,
home.
yeah, that's what it is. And for me, when I speak to people, I speak to a group, whether it's a workshop or I'm well, there's 20 people or 2,000. When I finish and I can see the light bulbs in people's eyes going off, I get that same feeling. So to me, I'm like, good. And then force multiplying. That's what I love about being a Green Beret, helping others to then go help themselves. Right. And that's with our Liberty Speak speakers, it's just been amazing. And being able to have that force multiplication. It gives me the 2 things I was really missing from a team, quite frankly. And Corey likes to say we've been able to run our own version of America's Got Talent, which has been pretty interesting. We've met some amazing people and we met some people.
This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMs. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack 2. Start living your best life. Titan SARMs. No junk, no bullshit, just results.
And it's just been cool to like talk with speakers and really look at them from like a business standpoint of like, hey, can we work with this person? Are they collaborative? Do they have an it factor Do they actually have a good story to tell? Are they going to make a lasting impact? And then is it marketable? Right? We might have someone, they're probably gonna, if they hear this, get mad, but like, hey, I had the whatever longest sniper kill in whatever combat. It's like, cool. Like,
Exactly.
what the hell do I do with that? Like, we
Yeah.
can't go to some company and be like, hey, we got the longest sniper kill in history, dude, here. Want to have them talk to your people?
Procter and Gamble is proud to present this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. So it's been interesting, right? And some of it's been, we had to make some difficult decisions and say no. Both through, we've met some very talented people who just are so impactful, from like a gold star mom to, we have to have a seal because everyone has to have a token seal in their organization. We got some other special operators, some military spouses, quite frankly, non-veterans, right? Some doctors and people from academia. I mean, we got a Olympian and former NFL player and a stunt woman who is just marvelous. It's really cool. This interesting mix of people that can really make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. I want to, how did you go about as a speaker? How did you first start that journey? And looking back, what was it that helped you craft your storytelling abilities?
One, begrudgingly, I guess. I just was asked to speak somewhere and like, okay, I'll speak. Like, being part of like doing my book and talk about veteran stuff. I was getting invited to do a lot of that. Some of it was podcasts like this, but then it was, I'll just be honest, I was BSing, right? Like, I'm a pretty good BSer, so I could tell a story and like, okay, we're good. But really, like, Scott Mann, I think you know Scott,
Oh yeah.
you know, and he's like, hey man, why don't you make it down here to Florida and let's work on your storytelling? All right, let's go. So we went down there and I worked for a few days with him. And I was like, now the art, I kind of had the art of storytelling, the BS, but now working on the science and actual delivery and like actual work on storytelling. And like Corey, who saw me before and after, is like, whoa, like you were good. Now you're great. And now that you've kept on practicing, you're like amazing. So that was really where it helped me, like, I think take me from like, hey, here's a guy who get up and tell a good story to like, hey, you should pay this guy to come in here and help people. Right. And it was really just those couple days with Scott and then practice after that. But really working on my craft is what I believe turned me into someone who should be on a stage. Right. And it has, and it's led to some cool places. But it's something you work at. I think most people don't realize that. They think it's like, oh, you're going to go, hey, Denny, why don't you come speak at X organization? We need you for 45 minutes. Most people just think, oh, you show up, you walk on stage or in front of a room and you're like, hey, go, pull the string on the back of the person. How do you do? You start flapping his gums. And then 45 minutes later, we're done. It's like, there's a lot of like one art and science to being on that stage and owning a room and making an impact with people, but also like practice, right? And rehearsals and going over it so you're actually giving them their money's worth.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel a responsibility to that. Like if someone said, hey, we're going to give you money and we're going to pay for you and we think you can bring it, I feel I have a responsibility to like put in the effort to bring my best to them, which is same thing. We going back to being a Green Beret, planning,
Yeah.
rehearsals, same basics that work there. Same thing for this.
Yeah. Crafting a story is much more than just getting on stage and reading your your ERB or
Yeah.
ORB. It's not about the beret or the long tab or the seal trident. I think now more than ever, there's a fatigue. People are much more aware of the hyperinflation of the accolades. You have to have a true human connection as a
And
speaker.
and that's what is the human connection. But I tend to shy away from war stories for
Yes.
a number of reasons, right? Like it's most people can't relate to that. They can't relate to like, oh, what is war? What that's actually like. It actually not many people think positively when they think of war. Like, hey, guy was blown up and we shot someone, and like that just is not positive,
Yeah.
right? So I tend to talk about other things, right? Other lessons learned, if you will, throughout my career journey from, time in service and then now out of uniform. But yeah, I tend to stay away from that war stuff because I think there is a fatigue, and then you never know your audience, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I've had one where a lady reached out and she had, gone through a war torn country and survived it as a younger kid, and she was scared to hear me speak and almost didn't attend
Mm.
because hey, this Green Beret is coming to speak. And then afterwards, she reached out. She's like, "Oh, that was so powerful. Thank you. Like, it was not what I thought it was gonna be." She, I guess, just thought like, "Hey, war stories, right? It would just be war stories, and that would take her back to her trauma as a teenager." But I didn't talk about that at all, right? I talked about human stuff.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing we can do right now, especially, somebody's bringing you on to, to come speak to their employees, their function. You got to provide some sort of value. Like you have to, do you approach every engagement? Like I know a lot of guys like have like their set story, or do you go through and you look at, hey, I'm going to be speaking at this event and here's the demographic. I'm going to craft something unique and impactful from my life that can address this specific community.
A little bit of both, I think. And this was, again, we're making that transition to doing this for a living. I always thought like I need to tell new stories. It can't be new. I never want someone to hear the same thing twice. And it was like, well, the chances someone being in the audience twice is, very
Yeah.
small. But then that's kind of what you have to do, right? So if it's an hour long talk, I'll say half of it is going to be kind of what I've used before, right? There's standard things I'm going to talk about, unless it's totally way different. They probably are commonalities amongst human beings that we experience. Then the other part I'm gonna make specific to what they want or specific to them, and I people laugh at me, but I'm like, sometimes you learn from places, and I grew up, you know, watching professional wrestling, like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan just died, like, hey, I was
Yeah.
taking my vitamins, saying my prayers, eating my raw eggs, brother. I was 6 years old. I had my wrestling buddy, the Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But one thing, like, you wanna talk about like, one dude or gal walking into an arena and 20,000 people, like, on their toes. And I just learned some stuff from that. And it seems crazy. People are like, what the? I'm like, dude, they own an arena of 20 or 90,000 people. And one of the things I love what they'd always do would be like, all right, I'm happy to be right here in Tampa, Florida. And everyone goes nuts, right? Because
Yeah.
they said Tampa, Florida. And it's like, because they made a connection to them.
Yeah.
Just that simple little thing. So always, and when I'm speaking, I'm going to make a connection to the people. And it's going to be more than just saying, hey, I'm here in, Washington, D.C. or wherever, but it's going to connect with people because once I think two things you show some vulnerability
Yeah.
and you allow your emotions to flow, you're going to start connecting better with people. So, and it's all about that. They need to be able, the audience needs to connect with you. They need to be able to connect quick. And then you can make that impact. And that's what I'm going for is that not just, wow, that was great. And they walk out and they don't think about it, but like on the drive home there, or a week later, they're sitting there and they're like, oh, and they start thinking about it. That's always my goal.
This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today. Yeah, you gotta, it has to be impactful, purpose driven, and be able to impart something, connect an emotion to like your story. It has to be something that it can walk away and be like, man, like that's powerful. I think we have an addiction right now in this country to just content, just a lot of brainless noise that's out there, flashy. I mean, we both live in the world of social media, so it's like we see it. If you can craft the perfect 30-second or 3-second hook to bring somebody into your reel, like you've got it. That's thing's gonna skyrocket. But speaking and telling a story is completely different. You have to craft it so that there is a retention thing, and
Yes.
and then even more so, crafting the person. How do you continue to adapt and evolve so that when you get on stage, people can connect with you? What are some things that you're doing for your own life, for your betterment, for your own enrichment?
Yeah. I want talking to people, right? Always talking to people. And whether that be anywhere, right? And I'm talking all different walks of life, people from CEOs of large companies to the person who checks you out at the supermarket, if they still have that and it's not the dreaded automated checkout that I want to smash.
It never works.
We're gonna get off. Corey's like, Herb, it wasn't built to go your speed. Cause I'm like, to me, it's a race. And then it always messes up, and I got to call the little kid over, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Here, yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Anyways, I got off track there. So talk to people. One, and really, when I say talk and listen and observe, I mean, for the last few years, if I'm hearing someone speak, I am all ears, but probably with a little bit different perspective of like I'm analyzing how they're doing and how the crowd's reacting. And then trying to hear feedback if I can, of like how people are reacting to it and just watch, right? Because there's a lot of, quite frankly, there's a lot of public speakers out there, and there's a lot of, I break it down to two types of celebrities. Uh, Insert name a person, they're probably going to give a crappy speech in most cases, but because they're Tom Brady and they have how many ever Super Bowl rings, or they, something like that. They're a celebrity. They have an Oscar. People are just listening because of that, and like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, great, we got to see it. But then that other group is like the people actually gonna leave you in, with an impact. That's the people I'm learning and listening from all of them. I really love seeing those people, and quite frankly, surprised me. And I was talking with our speakers because we do a monthly meeting, and we were talking the other day, and one of them's like, "Hey, I got this veteran, I might want to talk with." Or sorry, he's not a veteran. The person's not a veteran, and I was like, "Good," because like I hear veterans speak all the time, right? I want to hear non-veteran. I want to learn from everyone's. Uh, I know that's very simple and kind of maybe a little oversimplified, but working on the craft, learning, watching as many talks as you can, listening to people as they give presentations, but just talking to people. I think you can learn when I go to the dump to drop off the trash, right? I can like learn from the guy who's sitting there talking with me, right? Every human interaction is an ability to learn.
Yeah. It's absolutely true. If we want to continue growing, like, we have to be able to communicate. Can't live in the digital realm. You have to live in the physical world. No matter how enticing Meta tries to make the digital realm, the actual physical world is always going to be 10 times or infinitely better. You have to interact. I think one of the big problems we have is a lack of community building, a lack of individuals reaching across the divide, or Scott Mann calls it the churn, and being able to talk and discuss. But with all this going on in your life, man, what do you do to bring back some peace and harmony for yourself? What do you do to pour back into yourself? I know for a lot of us, like, I try to champion the idea of like, hey, get back in the gym, get physically active. Like, even if you've got a million aches and pains, like, do something physical each and every day. What are some things that you're doing to pour back into yourself?
Well, I don't want to end the podcast here, so I will not take off my shirt and show this gym body. Uh, a couple the fitness, I think, is
Yeah,
right. No, how I look at fitness versus 7, 8 years ago is much different.
exactly. It is not the same as when we were 25, 27 on an
No,
ODA.
and for me, maybe it is a round ago playing disc golf, which, by the way, I will sweat through my shirt, and all I'm doing is walking and throwing a frisbee. Right? It's ridiculous. Or truthfully, we try to do not necessarily every night, but most nights we try to do a family walk. Right?
Yeah,
If the kids go with us, or a minimum Corey and I do, and maybe it's a mile, maybe it's 2 miles, nothing special, but like one, that's quality time together. Two, we're getting the blood flowing.
yep,
Since it's warm right now, right there, I have a pool. So I'm
yeah,
always in the pool. One, for relaxation, but two, low impact exercise. So it'll be a combination of both. I'll relax in there and we'll relax in there, but also work out.
yep,
Doing that. And we'll go walk places. Like I haven't touched a weight for the most part in quite a long time. My son desires to go to West Point and he's about to be a senior in high school. So I've been working out with him a couple times a week this summer, which is, I use the term workout loosely, but it's left the old man hurting. But I've done a little bit of that with him, some circuits, upper body stuff. But I'm already a big dude. I don't need to go throw a ton of weights around. So for me, most of it's cardio and kind of,
yeah. We have to remember that we're not, that ODA body, the Green Beret body. It doesn't have to be that. You don't have to be obsessive over it. You can start working out today, no matter where you're at. Like, it'll improve your mental health. When you start moving and you start feeling better, like, I'm telling you guys, please join our Whoop team. If you have a Whoop strap, join it. If you don't have a Whoop strap, just follow me and send me a DM, and I'll put you in the running for a free Whoop strap. Because I do believe that fitness is one of the first things we can do each and every morning to feel better and start moving towards a healthier mental health
I
state.
I think on that too is like one thing huge for me has been less alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here, again, I'm not on some ivory tower looking down at people, like, I still drink. I had 2 small bourbon drinks last night, right? But that's my cutoff.
Yeah.
It's 2. The cutoff used to be like a half gallon, right? So, I can tell you the half
No.
gallon doesn't doesn't work a day. So, really lessening that and just, like, being okay, and I think there's also alternative treatments out there. I say alternative, but not conventional, right? Where I think especially there's a lot of programs, though the VA isn't there yet, but for especially for soft guys, there's nonprofits and stuff that can help out, whether it's Ibogaine or HBOT or SGB. And quite frankly, I know a lot of dudes now who are using marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Instead of kind of coping, if you will, with alcohol, they're using that to help them through life. And I every day hear more and more people
Yeah.
using that, right? So I think there's different things out there. Everyone has their own comfort zone with it, but definitely like the body feels better the less alcohol I drink. I just
Yeah. It's true.
be honest.
Yeah, I made that decision a long time ago. I haven't touched a drop of alcohol since I made my decision. I'm a big, big believer in medicinal marijuana. It worked wonders for me, especially when it comes to sleep regulation. And if you're wondering if it's not, I didn't understand it. Getting your medicinal marijuana card, I thought it was like, oh, like, well, just go get weed. Like, no, you sit down with a doctor. Sit down with a doctor and you actually discuss the issues that you have, and they prescribe a certain dosage. And yeah, I gotta tell you, like, living in Florida, having marijuana card, amazing. Like, going sitting down with a provider and like, it wasn't what I expected. And I tell people, find out for yourself. Be willing to do the research. Be willing to sit in front of a provider that will write the. You don't have to follow through with the prescription if you don't feel good about it. But I will tell you this: I got prescribed 2 different pens for 2 different things that I was struggling with, and one of them was actually to focus for focus and clarity. And I didn't realize that. I grew up in the dare days where marijuana was just a
Yeah.
tune
Yeah.
out, zone out. I'm like, no, I can smoke and sit in front of my computer, do work, and be completely in my flow state and doing work. And I will tell you, one of the greatest things I will be re-upping because have not used it for a while, but it's great for insomnia. It's great for focus and relaxation, and it doesn't come with the other unwanted side effects of drinking too much. So
Yeah, there is that. I think growing up similar time as you, like to all of it, there's some reason, again, going back like in the military, couples weren't cool, right? It was like,
yeah,
but at every military function, there's alcohol and like, all the balls and like, yeah, you could choose to participate, but there is a very, and I was part of this heavy emphasis on like drink, like in the team
yeah,
room, we'd have hey, is the beer light on?
beer
Okay, let's
light on.
pop. We weren't getting drunk, but okay, at the end of the day, let's have a beer, that was okay to do. I mean, was everyone said it was okay. It- Just be eye opening, right? And the other thing for me is therapy, like talking with someone, right? Because quite frankly, for the millions of dollars, or I don't know how much was spending to training me, training you, the hours, there wasn't a whole lot put into the backside of that.
No, there
By a
wasn't.
whole lot, I mean almost none. Comparatively, it's like to so I think just finding tools, just like I would go ask someone, "Hey, what's a better shooting technique?" or what's a better charge I can use to blow a hole in this wall?" Like, same thing, I need the tools and stuff. I don't so much, it's just me, care about what happened 10, 15, 5 years ago, but, like, I need tools for today to make my life better. So I see a therapist, right? And the big thing for me was try it out, and quite frankly, I found some I didn't like, and then I found someone I could talk with that I actually could, like, listen, and I felt like Corey was seeing some positive impact from that. So I think that's something else we don't necessarily as a culture embrace, but we probably should.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, man. Try it out. If it doesn't work with the one person, find another one. And before I let you go, I want to dive into one more time. Give us some tips or some things that lessons learned, sort of a PDSS on for marriage this time around. What are some things that have helped you be a better husband, a better partner, and of course, now since you're both in business together, a better business partner with her?
That's a lesson I'm learning every day. I think understand that it's not utopia, right? We're talking about social media and everyone sees all this stuff and there's like, oh, there's a Lamborghini and a white picket fence, or there's like they're on a private jet and they're and realizing that's all fake. Real people actually do have disagreements.
Hmm.
And we're gonna have disagreements, but how do we go forward from that? So I think just real lessons is you're gonna disagree. If not, like that kind of weirds me out if you weren't ever gonna disagree on anything, right?
Yeah.
So I think disagreements are normal, but just taking a breath, stepping away. I mean, I didn't get to be a Green Beret because I like to lose an argument. I didn't get to be the Army's drill sergeant of the year because I like to lose an argument, but it's not winning and losing,
Hmm.
right? It's changing that mindset of like, oh wait, this isn't a transactional thing where I'm going to win this bout. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like still once in a while I'll fall back and then I'll be like, yeah, I landed a good one, that jab figuratively, verbally, and then I was like, that was that's that's going to cost me later.
We're not talking about physical abuse.
No, no, but like, hey, I should have left that mag and not
Yeah.
loaded it because it was like I was like, oh man, like why did I say that? Just because I wanted to win, right? And I think realizing there is no winner, right? It's just us going through life together, making the best, and really we always come back to like, what's the outcome? What's the desired outcome? Same thing, quite frankly, that would drive a lot of my decision making overseas. Work with indigenous forces, like what is my desired outcome? So it's uh, that would be some things I would leave and just I understand it's a work in progress. No one's perfect. If it gets too much, take a breather, take a minute. Well, go outside, get some fresh air, walk, clear your head, go for a run, do whatever, go pump some iron, and then get back at it.
Absolutely, man. When in doubt, just take some time out. Just go somewhere. It's not worth it, man. And don't be afraid to come back and apologize. That's one of the things I've learned
Hey,
in life. Like the power of being able to be humble and say, like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I was really wrong. It
if there
is
was a championship belt for apologizing, that would be big and like not even gold, just all diamonds and stuff. Like, but yeah, I think it's okay to do that, right? It's okay, and just the fact that we're a team, right?
mhm.
Remember we're a team. So yeah, we're in a good spot. We love what we're doing with Liberty Speaks. So if anyone wants to check us out, libertyspeaks.com, you can see our different speakers. We do stuff all across the country, both keynotes and workshops myself, but also we have a list of, 20 some speakers that are just
Holy cow.
awesome from different walks of life that can really make an impact. So we're excited about it and we love what we're doing. And no actual jabs are getting thrown and crosses, no actual punches. It was all figurative with speech.
And who are some of the speakers you got on your
Yeah, we got a lot, so I'll probably miss some here, but just some come to mind. Like Hannah Betts is a stunt woman in
mhm.
Hollywood, been in a lot of the big movies you've seen, but also is a former world champion skydiver, also a British police officer back in her
Yeah.
past. Chantal Pratt, who is a very well-known neuroscientist who we first saw on the Adam Grant podcast. Pasha is a former special operator, a
Yeah.
couple-time Purple Heart recipient, is really a mental health journey on, former pilot, talking, about lessons learned from, being a fighter pilot. Gannon is a former Olympian, um, who's been through some stuff and is really up for women's empowerment. So just a great group, and the list keeps going on, right? And I didn't intentionally leave someone out there, but just a great group of people to go and make an impact, talk about different topics through a company.
Heck yeah. And if you guys do me a favor, go ahead and pause the episode right now. Just go to the episode description, check out all those links, check them out. There she is right there, the better half.
The much less hairy half.
They're building an amazing team, amazing speakers on this incredible list. Please go check them out. Check out the social media. Again, all the links are there. Do me a favor, head over there right now. All right, let's wrap this up. Herb, thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for veterans and everything you're continuing to do, and just being vulnerable with your entire journey, man. It's certainly, like I said earlier, and will continue to say, you gave me a lot of inspiration and a lot of help, and I in turn paid it forward and have given out that book to so many people, and it continues to help individuals today. And I cannot wait to see who else comes on board. You're speaking, it's going to be remarkable, and I will definitely be reaching out to bring as many of those guests on this show, because I think if somebody like you is putting together a powerful team, then all those individuals have to be just immensely incredible in their own right. So thank you so much for being here, brother.
No, my pleasure. And I'll throw out a little teaser. We actually have the Liberty Speak show going to be
Wow.
launching here this fall. So
Heck yeah.
we'll have you come over and sit on that. For an
Done and
episode.
done, man. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan's Arms. Head to the episode description and check out Titan's Arms today.